2. Sound check 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Sound check 1, 2. May we remain standing? May we remain standing for the national anthem? Let's remain standing. The national anthem will be taking the first stanza of the national anthem in line with the new guidelines, please. Thank you. May you all be seated, please. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Excellency, the Governor of Katsina State, Maladu Commander PhD, CON, the House Leader, as well as other honorable members of the State House of Assembly here present, the Chief Excellency, the Chief Executive Officer of the new Partnership for African Development, NEPAD, the State Chairman of the APC, Secretary to the Government of the State, Head of Civil Service, members of the State Executive Council, Honorable Commissioners and Special Advisors, permanent secretaries in the hierarchy of the civil society and retired, the leadership of Falcon, other heads of agencies, as a financier for good governance. The Corrector's administration in focus 2 years. Your Excellency, quite few remarks will make the day, but the highlights of the climax of this will be the petition. We shall in due course expect discussants to be presented presentations by various committees as arranged. Your Excellency, with your confirmation, first we will offer the opening prayer. It is my honor to invite the Special Advisor to His Excellency on Chieftaincy Affairs to give us a
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد آمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين الله يجعلنا
Amin Sharihi. Thank you very much. Having said the opening prayer, we'll be taking the next item. I think for once of time, we're skipping the introduction of the interest here and establish the protocol. I want at this point in time the chairman of the Education of Academics for the Development, Alan Manura, to please proceed with the opening remarks. Chairman.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Malam Duko Umar, PhD, members of the Executive Council, distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It is with great honor and deep sense of responsibility that I welcome you all to this important gathering organized by the Coalition of Academics for Katsina State Development. The formation and growth of this coalition would not have been during the 2023 gubernatorial campaign to recognize the need to engage the academic committee in shaping the future of Katsina State. We took the bold step and bring together like-minded scholars under a single platform, resulting in the establishment of Coalition of Academics for Katsina State Development. Through his encouragement and support, and under the coordination of our esteemed colleague, Lawal Zubairu, the coalition has grown into a credible professional body that has made significant contribution to governance and policy direction in the state. Members of these coalitions were drawn from 14 tertiary institutions across Katsina State, including federal, state, and private institutions. This rich diversity provides us with a wide range of expertise and facilities, strengthening the quality of our contributions. From the onset, our focus was through a review of the development blueprint titled Building Your Future. Through in-depth discussions and community work, we contributed in shaping this document into an actionable guide for governance. The document addressing security, education, economics development, healthcare, agriculture, infrastructure, and participatory governance. Through this strategic initiative, the DIPCO Jobe administration aims to transform the state into secure, prosperous, and inclusive society. One key lesson we have learned from this experience is the critical role of planning in governance. Without a clear vision, measurable goals, and realistic strategies, even the best institution often fail. As saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. In the case of Katsina State, we have seen how administration of Malam Duku Umar Radda, guided by the principle laid out in the future, has made substantial progress in key sectors such as security, education, healthcare, agriculture, among others. Planning has allowed the administration to align resources with priorities, to measure progress, and to adjust approaches where necessary. This structural approach to governance has enabled results that are not incidental, but deliberate. Governor Radda administration has demonstrated a comprehensive approach to governance, focusing on security, healthcare, education, agriculture, infrastructure, economic development, social welfare, public service reform, traditional institutions, and religious affairs to improve the lives of the state residents. Indeed, we are proud to report that almost 70% of the recommendations made by our various committees have been implemented in just 2 years. We are fit in public administration. This is a testament not only to the governor's commitment, but also to power of inclusive and strategic planning. Today we gather here to share our findings, reflect on achievements, and continue the dialogue on how academia can support governance through research, monitoring, and intellectual partnership. I am pleased to announce the representatives from different communities will share their findings and perspectives with you, sir. I encourage you all to listen attentively and ask questions. Let us all remember, when governance is built on planning, guided by data, and supported by knowledge, progress becomes inevitable. Thank you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless Katsina State and Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman, most sincerely for the remarks. I think at this point in time at this point in time it is now time for the lecture proper, and talking about the personality of the guest speaker, from the few notes I have here with me, Professor Mohamed Kabir is a distinguished academics in the fields of governance, development, and administration. A graduate of political science from Ahmadu Bello University, Ebu Zaria. He earned his Bachelor of Science in 1989, MSc in 1994, and a PhD 2010. He has been a member of the academic staff in the Department of Local Government and Development Studies at ABU since 1992, and has served in various academic capacities across Nigeria, including as a visiting lecturer at Gombe State University 2006 to 2017, an adjunct lecturer at the National Open University of Nigeria, Abuja, and a visiting professor at the Newgate University, Mina. He was previously the Deputy Dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies from 2017 to 2021, now at Postgraduate College. Recently served his sabbatical leave 2024 to 2025 at the Nigerian Defense Academy, and currently serving as a Dean Faculty of Administration, ABU Zaria. With over 30 years of academic and research experience, Professor Issa Professor has made a significant contribution to scholarship through numerous nationally and internationally published works. His research interests include social movement and transformation, ethnicity and ethnic conflict, youth studies, social change, development and underdevelopment, political Islam and militancy, countering violent extremism, and local governance. His scholarly works reflects both theoretical depth and policy relevance, positioning him as a thought leader in this field. He has contributed extensively to edited volumes and scholarly books, with notable publications such as Militant Ethnic Movements and Youth Subculture of Violence in Nigerian Cities, Nations, the State of Kama in Nigeria, Militant Islamic Movement in Northern Nigeria, and Identity, Politics and Transformation in Contemporary Nigeria. His work has been featured in publications by the Institute of Security Studies in Pretoria and Addis Ababa. Professor is an active participant in international academics and policy networks. He is a member of the UNESCO MUST EthnoNet Africa Network, the International Research Society for Public Management, and the Result Network, USIP, New York. Additionally, he holds membership in the Nigerian Political Science Association, NPSA, and the Association of African Political Science, West African Zone, AAPS, WA, where he is a pioneer member. I think having a synopsis from the profile of the learned guru, it is my honor at this point in time to invite the distinguished scholar to please come to the podium for the lecture presentation. I will appreciate Professor as he come on board for the lecture. Professor.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellency, sir, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, Dr. Diko Umar Radda, members of the Executive Council, advisors to His Excellency the Governor of Katsina State, members of Algon, Chairman of Local Government. It might suffice Your Excellency to note that very interesting among your trail are my students. The guy who led the prayer is my student, or was my student. And Alex Afana was an affiliate from a student, an affiliate of my development studies. He embodies the department. And Alex Rabutambaya is one of my best pro. If I'm proud of somebody, I'm proud. Alex Rabutambaya, pro, and I'm very proud. So I'm happy to be in Katsina State and of Katsina. Very important, I would like to extol the coalition of architects for Katsina State development for deeming me fit to come and deliver this lecture and to provide insight. I have done this in Katsina, Hassan Katsina I on the icon, General and the Prince of Katsina, the late General Usman Katsina, blessed memory. So it gives me great pleasure to be back to Katsina to do what good at and what we know how to best. It will suffice to note that also while I was traveling down to Katsina, I did not just read the submission of the coalition, and I did not read just the assessment. I stopped by at points to feel the pains in the classrooms and the clinics to be sure that they were not just mentioned on paper, that I'm tasting the paint and smelling the paint and seeing the projects on the wall. And so this is what we call evidence-based. So, sir, Again, I came up with something unique, novel. Please, can you take the slide back to the beginning? I want to see the beginning first page and see what I'm bringing to bear, what I'm serving to the table. I'm coming with a different view, V2R, from vision to reality. And so we're looking at policy planning as a panacea for good governance. We call that 2-year transformative agenda and achievement in Katsina State from 2023 to 2025. So what we're seeing is a transformation, not just even a transition, a movement, a shift. If you like, a disruptive shift, something that disrupts what exists before. You are not just transforming, you are reshaping, you are disrupting what exists. And that is why I tag mine from vision, from an idea to reality, V2R. And so that's the beginning of my slide, to show you that I contextualized the documents that were presented to me, and I did not just read the document, I went through my route to this place to fill the pause. Next page, please. Now, Katsina State from before 2023 was an environment of insecurity, from banditry and rural insurgency to disrupted socio-economic life. It will suffice to inform His Excellency that in the whole world, as an academic, as a researcher, I was the first person to publish Boko Haram. And I presented a paper about Boko Haram in South Africa at the Institute of Security Studies, April 2009. And I was commissioned to replicate the same thing for LFIG, Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, in July at Addis Ababa, at the African Union. The whole of my academic career, these publications from South Africa on militant Islamic movement in northern Nigeria and militant Islamic movement in Libya. This became what you call my hallmarks as an academic, and this is what propelled me globally to international scene. I became consultant to American Embassy, Canadian Embassy, Australian Embassy, the United States Embassy for a period of about 7 years, offering services to this country because I listen to these people more than they listen to us. And this is where I thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now, when you had this vision, you brought about local indigenous technology, local academics. You started to develop a document and give you an idea. And this is what we're celebrating today. And that's the basis of the point, that in Nigeria, Nigerian elites don't listen to it. They listen for the first time. That's why I said your vision is disruptive, not just transformative. You are working with indigenous knowledge. Because when you come to World Bank, you come with Kttv, IMF, they don't have local knowledge. But academics on the ground are ones who have local what? Knowledge. The success of any agenda, of any policy, is contingent on local what? Knowledge, on this condition. So basically, before 2023, what we had were high unemployment, deepening poverty, weak institutional and low public trust, and shift from active to proactive governance. And I said, not just proactive, but also disruptive governance, because you are coming with local indigenous understanding, and you are coming with homegrown from Katsina with better insight, better organic understanding of what is Katsina problem. And so that gave you the planning and the good governance. So what's the missing link? Planning is not just an administrative document or administrative issue. It is strategic. And why is it strategic? It gives good governance the basis to plan, and it gives you transparency, efficiency for results. And how do you come about that? Lack of planning leads to fragmented, short-term intervention, while effective planning provides vision, structure, coordination, and sustainability. And what I bring to the table today is the issue of sustainability. Everything I have read in the document and saying have achieved in the last 2 years, the vision. Remember I talked about vision at the beginning. And the vision has transposed and transmutated into reality. And you have structures on the ground, which I will refer to as the concept of vision. And there's coordination. And what is hanging in the process, and what needs to be reached, is the issue of sustainability. And next please. And that takes us to, why is this planning important? Why does it matter? Now, when you have governance through the prism, through the lens of planning, why is it important? Why does it matter? It moves beyond media hype. You know, if you go to the media, you see we do content analysis in the media, and you see a lot of reports in the media. The governor did this. There are states you go, you read about a lot of projects in the media, but when you go on the ground, they are not there, or they are there whitewashed or dysfunctional. And that's why you understand what I said. I went, felt in Jikamshi, I stopped in Jikamshi, felt the paint of the primary school, smelled how many weeks it has been there for a while. So beyond hype, what I have seen are reality. And that's why the context of my presentation is that we have, in Kttv State, we have moved from vision to reality. And so it answers how and why development occurs, development outcomes occur at the time they occur. Highlight planning inputs, policy logic, and institutional mechanisms. And offers deep insight into leadership capacity and policy effectiveness. So in Kttv State, from this document, we are beginning to see a very high-grade leadership capacity. In fact, I was asking, I noticed that there are a lot of professors, a lot of doctors in the cabinet of His Excellency. So I was asking, what is the quantum volume of the number of academics in the cabinet? And I'm still waiting to get the result on that. But that gives me an idea that any government that will succeed when they get the requisite number of people and the right caliber of people to work at the right place, putting round pegs in round holes and square pegs in square holes. So Governor Rada's policy paradigm is that building your future. That's the acronym, that's the language, that's the mantra, building your future. Now, it came in a strategic policy document, which is comprehensive, and is a blueprint which was introduced in 2023, developed with the input from 200 plus policy experts. It is alcohol and framework. You know, research, where there is research and there is no theory, there is no research. And so the research is the lens, like Canada, which will guide your project. You guide what you want to achieve. So what is building your future going to achieve? It is going to work on a framework of blocks. Building blocks for development, I call them. What are they? Budget, you learn, you organize, you involve the community, you evolve knowledge, and then you develop security. And this even are the highlights of the context of development. Without this, you cannot claim to have development. Next slide, please. Now, the next is what the policy aims to achieve. Vision and strategic focus of BYF, building your future document. One, reform public services. This is cogent and very relevant and germane to any development. Because since independence, we have practiced the development model and it's not delivered. So in the light of where we are today, what must begin at development and language and agenda is to reform the public sector. Now there are different models of reforming the public sector, but I'll not take us into that debate. But what is important for this model is that you expand education, healthcare, and social welfare. This is very apt for me. It answers a lot of my development questions. And then you grow MSMEs, and then agricultural value chain. Then you institutionalize local governance and citizen participation. In fact, these are twin engines of grassroots development.
citizens' participation. Then you enhance security through community-driven initiative. Now, we are going to speak to some or all of this, and the structures put in place to achieve this. Because it is not just one thing to mention. It's another thing to say we have done this, but there are structures. Without the structures, the issue of sustainability will not be there. They will not last. They will fizzle out with the administration. But where there are structures and organization, then they persevere and they stand the test of time. So why this study? Well, this paper is to assess Governor Ratner's achievement through a structured planning-based lens, and then showcase how strategic planning catalyzed measurable governance outcomes, and then offer lessons for subnational governance reform in Nigeria, and then contribute to scholarship on development, leadership, and state building. Quickly, please. Then, what's my theoretical framework? Like I said, anything we do in academics, there must be a theory for it. Now, what is strategic planning? It's a deliberate, long-term policy process which align, again, vision comes in here, which align vision with what? Action. Action, you get what? Reality. And then establishes priorities, allocates resources from the blocks, budget, and then tracks performance. Now, in governance, it transforms leadership intent into measurable change, and then foundation for anticipatory and systemic public management. So we need to understand also what is governance and good governance. Governance is how power is exercised and decisions are made. Good governance marked by transparency, accountability, inclusiveness, and then rule of law. Then build institutions and foster citizens' trust, enables development outcomes to be citizens-focused and efficient. And all of these are captured in the BYF. Next slide, please. Now, what is public policy implementation? Again, we are looking at the process of translating ideas into actionable programs. Again, which speaks to my V2R, vision to reality. So it requires coordination among actors, institutions, and legal tools. And then you have successful implementation, which depends on capacity, compliance, and adaptability. And then central evaluating political leadership and planning outcomes, the policy implementation framework. Now, the blocks framework, which is the basis of Governor Ratner's blocks framework, is that a planning logic integrates 6 governance critical pillars. 1, budget. And what about budget? The right size funding to avoid inefficiency or underperformance. Law, that is learning. Legal frameworks for legitimacy and execution. Organization, institutions must be empowered or created to serve the purpose. And then community, local context, alignment, and ownership by the community. Capacity building and awareness for implementers and citizens. This is very important because in monitoring evaluation, we have moved beyond monitoring and evaluation. We are now at the stage of monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Then security, policy successes rely on the environment. Next. Then, linking planning to governance outcomes. Blocks in action. Blocks ensure coherence between the vision, again, vision is coming up, policy and delivery. It encourages adaptive governance rooted in continuous reality, bridges the gap between the strategic intent and tangible impact tool for all sectors. Then what are the indicators for governance and for evaluation? How do we measure good governance? 1, service delivery, timeliness, accessibility of important services. And that's why we have gained 2 years. So after this, what next? How do we sustain what we have gained and then build upon it? 2 things. Then citizen participation, institutionalized engagement in decision making. And citizen participation in recent times are achieved through town hall meetings at various stages. Now, then you have, then you have transparency and accountability. These have been, next slide. These have been engaged. Next slide, please. Next. Quickly, please. Yes. Great. Now, again, I'll not bore you with this. I did a lot of content analysis. I read policy documents. I did a lot of content analysis. I went online, searched Kaduna State to confirm what in the text are obtainable online. I checked social media handles and so on. So I relied mostly on this method to arrive at this the next stage. Great. Now, here, what is the BYF policy strategy all about? First, there's the issue of the origin, initiated by Governor during pre-election planning, crafted with contributions from 200 plus experts at policy domains, and designed to confront Katsina's structural challenges, insecurity, poverty, and underdevelopment. Now, what is the vision? Build a future ready, people-focused, and resilient governance model. I'm in love with this. This is just wonderful. Very apt, very cogent, very precise, and doable. And what? Doable, achievable. It is not gargantuan. It is not high. It is something that can be short, sharp, measurable, and doable. So why build the future? Why building your future? A future-oriented governance model does certain things. It seeks to balance short-term relief with long-term development. So in the first 2 years of Governor Duko Ratna's administration, the first 2 years, we want to give relief and set the foundation for long-term development. And that's what it is. So we will measure, has the action of government in the 2 years brought relief? Because this is what we seek to do. And then move governance from reaction to what? Anticipation. Meaning that the citizens of Katsina State, measuring what has obtained, are looking beyond 2 years, and they are looking above next, decades to come. So focuses on institutional reform, inclusive growth, and now you've got to, okay. Now, okay, focus on institutional reform, inclusive growth, and systemic impact. Now, planning as a governance tool is not a political afterthought, and it cannot. And that is why I coined mine, and I added to the coin and the acronym. We are moving Katsina State from vision to what? Reality. Next slide, please. Okay. So, what are the core development themes and the strategic pillars of building your future policy? We have public sector reform, Katsina State BPA, Bureau for Public Reform. Then you have the KSAPG, you have the APAG, then you have education and skills, universal access for education, and then digital learning, and then technical and vocational education training. Then you have healthcare transformation, which provides rural access. And Your Excellency, I saw those rural hospitals around the 300 and 65 wards. I saw along my route coming there, I stopped to be sure that they were not just on paper, they were real. Then, the MSME development, finance cluster, digital skills, I saw those social media. Then agricultural modernization, I saw them too on social media. And then social protection, Rumbun Samki, community care and housing, very apt for development. Security architecture, the community watch, I watched when my very good friend, Alaji Dr. Lawal, joined you here in Katsina to help you launch this. So this is not just media hype. Katsina State provided that. And by the time we are successful in getting state security police passed through, you already have a bill standing army for state security. So the state will spend less in training because you have already invested in able hands who will readily migrate because they develop the blueprint. For sustainability, the way they will look at these sectors is different from the way bureaucrats will look at it. And I'll advise, on a yearly basis, let's have in any of the state universities, like UMU or the Polytechnic, funded conferences. Then you will get research and policy-based reports that will guide government's policy direction. So there are institutional reforms, community development centers in 361 wards, yes. The KPIs, the key performance indicators, and the digital monitoring system for TSA, for health, for USMS, very good. Local government alignment and execution roles. So, and again, I love the idea that the BYF is also aligning itself with the SDG. And I'm looking towards that by the end of September, by September, Katsina State should model something at the next SDG conference in New York, 2025. I am looking towards Katsina State because in 2017, Benue State was invited to showcase what they are doing at SDG in New York. So we should have Katsina State showcase it. We should not keep it. We should celebrate it. Show what we are doing at the level of what? Aligning government policy with the what? SDGs. And so we should be in New York and tell the world, not just government in Nigeria. Next slide, please. Now, the strategic policy team, like I said, this is wonderful. You cannot have this strategy of BYF and blocks without a team. Now, what I also expect is that in each of the ministries, what are they adopting? What is their own framework out of this? Each of the ministries, what is their blueprint? So they're not just getting a blueprint. In the ministry, what is their team? Which team do they have? And how are they aligning that team with the academics? What is the relationship between the ministries and the academics? What are their relationships? So the team, the strategic policy team, chaired by His Excellency, the Governor, now it ensures policy coherence across MDAs and LGAs. Again, the local government, what's their own blueprint? What is the blueprint of the local government along BYM and the blocks? Now, it tracks budget alignment with policy target, which is good. So apparently, it seems that this is more focused, more towards target. But I am not faulting this, because for me, you have already indicated that this is to bring relief and relief towards development. Thank you, sir. And which is targeting relief and relief leading to a stage for development. So for me, the first 2 years is a relief, succor, and we are getting it. And I'm going to show you. So basically, we should go beyond that in the next 2 years. We should not set proper agenda for development beyond relief, because we have gotten the relief. So for the BYF, we should shift from fragmented governance to coordinated what? Development. And that's my submission on this aspect. We should move from fragmented governance to a coordinated development. And get into everyday governance practice, and in all ministries and agencies and the departments and local governments. And it serves as a local model aligned with global standard, like the SDG, powered by institutional innovation and executive commitment. Next slide, quickly. Now, these are the achievements. But there are too many. If I'm to showcase this achievement in these sectors, I'll take the next 1 hour doing so I cut them off. Yeah. This is just to acknowledge that I've seen this achievement and I took note of them. Hold on here. But it's incisive to give a summary of these achievements. In agriculture was transformed. There are strategic deployment of 400 plus tractors, 4,000 solar pumps, and 400 kg bags of subsidized fertilizer annually. Planned shift to year-round irrigation, infrastructure and urban renewal, 150 billion naira roads, 160 kilometers, mostly dual carriageway, I've said that. Eastern bypass completed, Mariam Park revitalized, economic empowerment, Kaseda established and secured 5 billion Bank of Industry Matching Fund, 123 million for youth skill and goat rearing initiative, water and renewable energy, 50 billion naira water budget in 2025, leading to NG's SUWASH, 500 million clean energy partnership, and then 66 megawatt solar in waterworks, and then 85-kilometer solar street light, governance reform, swift Treasury single account implementation, new anti-corruption and fiscal responsibility commission, which is good. In fact, when you work with DFID, this is some of the hallmarks they want to see in any governance architecture in the state. Then, of course, their commitment to local government autonomy goes out to Katsina State, because I'm a local government person. Then, planning a catalyst for good governance. You talked about transparency, accountability, clear plans. BYF is said, the strategic document is an exemplary case of planning for good governance. And then efficient resource optimization to reduce waste, citizen-centric development, policies directly address community needs, those wards, projects, and then those community center, community-based watch, and so on and so forth. All of these are citizen-centric development. And I interviewed a couple of people, and I was told that fertilizer is shared by the citizens, not by the state. And the citizens determine who benefits from it. And this is a classical example of citizen-based. So, and then policy recommendation. Let's go to the next slide. So, this is to acknowledge that we have seen this project like this. Hold on, please. Last page. I said, this is an example. Just last page. Yeah, the previous page. No, the previous. Yes. This I said, hold on, please. Just there. And I said, this is vision. All of this are vision, from vision to what? Reality. And this is a testament of the fact that the Katsina State government has brought what? Suko. Relief. And so from here, and so the next 2 years should be an agenda to achieve what? Development for Katsina State. So, basically, I'm very quickly. Now, other critical things, we said planning enables execution. And so, the BYF policy integrated diagnostic, budget pass, timelines, and sir, there are levels to which I see things which the civil servants see differently. As academics, we think differently from civil servants. Even though we behave alike, we are governed by the same rules. So these diagnostic tools should work both from the academics and from the what? Civil service. They are experts, they are professional, they are found nowhere else, and they are good at their job when they want to do the job very well. Appropriate environment and conditions, civil servants work at optimal, and I respect that. So we should have a balanced view of our document. This is one. What I've done now is a different view of the document, provide a different understanding. I believe that the capacity is embedded inside Katsina State, and there's no doubt about that. So, from pre-election vision to post-election what? Action. V2R. So, what is it? The Diko Jobe campaign blueprint evolved into the BYF policy, eliminated post-election transition gaps, which is the thing we're talking about, and the policy drift, and then enabled rapid implementation in the first 100 days, and then demonstrated the power of programming campaign. In fact, Your Excellency, I want to acknowledge to Kttv, because when you were distributing fertilizer and your relief, I asked, is there any other governor like you? Because I saw you fighting with police. No, this is for the one, you were collecting and ensuring that the beneficiaries and those who are deemed to benefit get the requisite relief. And I said the lesson from there is that what structure are we going to put in place? But I didn't say how do we get people to honor and distribute this relief? And I'll tell you that it was an exemplary video, and that video topped the internet for a long period of what? Time at the beginning of the era of your administration. That here is a governor who stands for the testament of his voice and for what he believes in. And so we appreciate you for that. Now, So I did an assessment. What are barriers to sustainability and application? One, political will, it exists. Resource constraint also exists. From economics, resources are always what? Scarce. In fact, one of the hallmarks of economics is that resources are always what? Scarce. So we must balance it. Institutional continuity. This I will challenge to ensure that this policy does not end with Dr. Duko Umar, that the policy lives many, many years after his administration. Then, lessons for professional government. What does this learn? Institutionalized planning is core to governance function. And then, in planning, one of the things that kill planning is that we plan without a base. We plan without what? A base. And what the Korada administration did is to come up with a pre-election implementation that recognizes that we are starting from ground zero. So what is the situation before we start? And it is good for weighing success, for measuring whether you are succeeding or failing, and then empower strategic policy teams to coordinate beyond routine civil service. And this is my argument. Civil service have a tendency, it's genetic in DNA to do it. Everything will be routinized. Everything in the civil service must be what? Routinized. And this is where we differ from the civil servant. Everything must go through process. And so it does not allow for destructive approach. And here we are. We want to leapfrog. We want to get Katsina State to 20. We must continue planning, and we must do it as a departure from reactive politics. And then we must integrate all sectors: security, health, education, economy, and then governance treated as continuum: vision, structure, execution. And their model of state-level development planning is very important. Now, final thought, planning as a compass for post-full government. In a political economy marked by fragmentation and uncertainty, planning remains the most reliable compass for a purposeful leadership, institutional resilience, and sustainable development. Next, final slide, final one. Final. Next slide, please. Not this. Keep going. I've spoken to this. Yep. Yeah. No. No. There's something at the end. Just go to the last page. Last page, please. Okay, come back here. Aha, this is the page. Exactly. Yeah. So, Your Excellency, sir, talking about sustainability. Sustainability of planning cycle is very important. So for this document, the BYF, which is guided by blocks, we should start thinking at the early stage, how do we make this document sustainable? This question has not been generated and has not been asked sufficiently. How do we make this document sustainable? How do we make what we have built on the ground sustainable? And I propose these 200 plus experts to form clusters of key mandates, the sectors, to regularly monitor, assess, review, and advise government by engaging the civil service, to regularly review processes, monitoring, evaluation, and learning reports, and by annual meeting of consolidation, reviews, realignment, and validation, and make recommendations to government for reform and review. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Excellency.
Thank you. Let's appreciate him once more. It's very difficult to tell senior academics that your time is up. Bear in mind that I'm just a doctoral student, so we sincerely thank you for much. I think for one time, bear in mind we will be having various submissions by committees. Then I think we will ask them to make synopsis, be as brief as possible. I think as regards to discussions of this very important paper, I want to draw the attention of the discussant that we hope that it will be as brief as possible as well. And then I want to give a brief synopsis as regards to the discussant, Associate Professor Jibril Husseini. He is the head of the Department of History and War Studies, Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, the top military university in West Africa. He hails from Bazari local government area of Katsina State. He obtained his bachelor degree in history from Bayo University, Kano, master's in military history and defense studies, NDA, and a PhD in the same area from Usman Danfodi University, Sokoto. He taught at the Department of History and Security Studies, Oyuk, for 10 years, after which he transferred his service to NDA. He attended many conferences within and outside Nigeria. He also edited and authored books on complex studies. He is currently a visiting scholar at some military institutions in Nigeria, including the famous National Defense College, Abuja. So on this note, join me to invite Associate Professor Jibril Husseini. He is the discussant to this paper, and I hope probably will be as brief as possible, looking at other items on the agenda that are still waiting to be exhausted.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Ibrahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, Malam Umar Duko Umar Rada, PhD. Sir, permit me to stand on the already established protocol. The paper that we just finished listening by an erudite scholar, a very senior colleague of mine, Professor Muhammad Kabir Isa, is a document of 75 pages. Your Excellency, I was hijacked by coordinators of this important gathering this evening that I have to be a discussant of this paper. When you look at these schedules, you realize that it is my teacher and a very senior colleague, Professor Sadiq Rada, and he also directed, I must do it. And of course, it's part of the challenges in the academia. Whatever responsibility you are saddled with, you have to take it. It's part of the training. So this paper is categorized into subsections, beginning from the introduction. From the introduction, he treats the geographical outlay of Katsina as a historic area in the Sahel region. He mentioned the contemporary developmental challenges that bedevil Katsina State, especially on the eve of the election of Governor Umar Rada as the governor of Katsina State. He briefly talked about governor's readiness to combat these multiple challenges through marrying theory and practice of development planning, which manifested in his establishment of committees of experts on different areas that gave birth to his strategic document known as Building Your Future, which is implemented around strategic areas of budget, laws, organizations, community, knowledge, and security, which is briefly termed as blocks. The paper provides conceptual definitions such as what it means by strategic planning, public policy implementation, as well as 6 critical dimensions of planning model for every governance throughout the world. He went further to provide an overview of building the document of building your future as a strategic policy. It is origin and mission strategy, which he provided in the paper that it came about before the inauguration of Malam Umaru Dukorada in May 2023. This document, according to him, is a byproduct of a framework of about 200 subject experts on different areas, largely from coalition of Katsina State academic under the able leadership of Malam Nura Abdullahi. He dissected areas of implementation of these ideas put in place by these scholars and experts through multi-sectoral collaboration, decentralization execution, sectoral blueprints, digitalization, among other important approaches for modern governance. The paper points out under the sectoral achievements issues of security and peace building, establishment of security co-watch, purchase of equipment, and so on and so forth. Under the conclusion of this achievement, he concluded by saying that it is not merely a political will, but rather what Professor Muhammad Isa coined as intentional strategic planning. In our classes, we always deliberate that part of the problems of development in Nigeria and Africa at large is lack of political will. In the case of Katsina State, we said that we have a leader that has political will, but according to Professor Mohammed, it is beyond that. He coined it as intentional strategic planning of Malam Duko Umaru Rada. On education, he further talked about the construction of about 75 secondary schools and 15 mega schools, agile initiative and girl child education, construction of over primary health care centers, and healthcare workforce and human capital development. On agriculture, which is a pillar of every economy, he pointed out a lot of developments that are achieved within the 2 years. He also mentioned about the issues of infrastructure and urban planning, water resources and renewable energy, cultural and traditional revivalism, and so on and so forth. He also discussed about critical challenges of these important policy documents that Governor Umaru Rada is pursuing, such as issue of continuity, diversified funding mobilization, human resistance to modern challenges, and resurfacing of insecurity in some areas, among others. He provided some recommendations where he pointed out issues like institutionalizing strategic planning, legalize reform blueprint, invest in civil service and digital governance, promote participatory governance, align with SDG and global benchmarks, and so on and so forth. By way of conclusion of his paper, he pointed out that strategic planning of beyond your future document in Katsina State, as put in place in the past 2 years, if sustained, would become a transformational leadership which other states of the Federation can borrow from our dear states. Now, from my own input of the paper, I say that it is no doubt that the paper has actively x-rayed the transformational and strategic leadership of Dr. Duko Umaru Rada in governing Kttv State. However, the paper is bit silent on the area of corruption, where the governor was able to establish Kttv State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. This institution is indeed serving the purpose of its creation. Even though preliminary investigation into their activities reveals that it experiences some challenges that retard wide coverage of operations. These challenges include understaffing, lack of enough operational vehicles, funding, among others. It is by strengthening this commission that much more successes would be realized in your government, Your Excellency, sir. Long life Kttv State, long life Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bazaribon Jibril Husseini, for your inputs as a discussant. I think strictly we will be taking this time around presentations from various committees. I'm directed to draw the attention of the presenters that they should make their presentation within the span of 5 minutes. Initially, the time allotted was 10 minutes, but I think we have a lot of committees presentations. Perhaps about 9, so to speak. And I'm starting with the Security Committee. And to make this presentation will be no other person than Professor Sadiki Sarah from Department of Sociology, Baron Basti Kano. So let's appreciate Prof as he come on stage for his submission on the Security Committee. We say 5 minutes, but don't be surprised. Prof may round up even within 3 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes, no?
Yes, sir.
I can do it less.
Yes.
Your Excellency, the Governor of the State, members of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be given this opportunity to speak about the contributions of the committee towards ensuring that Kttv State becomes secure. When the government was sworn in, the governor established a committee headed by Professor Siddiq. We met severally, we brainstormed, we came up with a number of recommendations, and we gave the government. For the purposes of information and for the avoidance of doubt, many issues to do with security cannot be discussed so openly. Moreover, we are online, we are live. But despite that, I must say that regarding the insecurity in Kttv State, even though we are not where we want to be, we can all confirm that we are not where we were. In other words, we have made progress steadily, slowly but surely. Your Excellency, you made a promise to make sure that the people and their property become secure, and every discerning individual in Kttv State will affirm, will confirm, will believe, knows that a lot has been done in the area of fighting insecurity. The fact that you have issues, you have cases here and there, does not mean that there is no improvement in the security performance. Rather, you can say that things are being done to make sure that people are secure. Mr. Chairman, again, we should know in the fight against security, the bad guy needs to get it once right, just once. But the government has to get right all the time. You have to cover your ground nearly all the time, and it's not possible. Despite that, I must say that it's promise made, promise kept. How? In summary, I want to give, without giving details, certain things that were recommended to the government, certain things that were envisioned by the governor himself and his team. They came together to produce what we have today. Before the coming of the government, 26 local governments were under siege. But that's not the case now. We are all aware of the frontline states and frontline local governments where banditry was intensive, but that has been alleviated. Again, there are many local governments that were close to the frontline local governments. They were very vulnerable. It has been eased, but not without problems. Again, prior to the coming of the government, there was discordance regarding the security agencies in the state. Now, there is cooperation, collaboration, and coordinations among them, which makes it easy for them to utilize their resources and to deliver. Again, there is a surveillance center in the state. We don't need to know the location, but there is a surveillance center where many parts of the states can be monitored and action taken. We are all aware that many vigilante groups have been formed in our communities and they are performing. Then there are many community-driven efforts. In these communities, they have been given arms approved by the government, and they are taking up the challenge, protecting their communities before the arrival of security agencies. Again, if we could remember, there was this Northwest Peace and Security Summit. Many of us participated. We came up with many ideas, and we came to the conclusion that within the Northwest, no state alone can function and fight insecurity without the collaboration and cooperation of all the states. Therefore, there is now a fairly networked relationship between the states in the Northwest. Even before the government came, there was this three-tier security architecture. Apart from using air power, many things were done to incentivize financially the security architecture. Imams are being paid, villages are being paid, vigilantes that are being recruited after training, they are being given weapons, they are being given incentive. This is monumental. Again, we all know many logistic equipment have been supplied to all the security agencies in the state. Frankly speaking, there are many things that with the coming of DUCOM for security reasons, but what are the outcome of all these efforts by the government? At least people have some level of confidence. We can trust the government. The efforts being made by those who are concerned with protecting the lives and property of the people is being seen by an ordinary citizen. Only 3 days ago or 2, we saw the governor in the bush with the security agencies. That is building the confidence of the common man that the government and the governor care. Then we are beginning to trust the security agencies. Here too, there were complaints about when some people were saying that we would rather have vigilantes than to have some security agencies. But that's not the case today. There is the belief that the security agencies are making all their efforts, they are doing their best, they are losing their sleeps, they are losing their lives, their health. They stay on the streets to protect us. This is because they have a government that gives them all the support. Now, the frontline local governments, I recall when we came, Basari was a hotbed of banditry. but there are significant improvements. In fact, at a certain point in time, even local governments like Bindawa, Charanchi, Kankia, and a host of other communities were vulnerable, but improvements are being seen. But like I told you, the fact that you have one or two incidents does not mean that efforts are not made to curb insecurity. Rather, the bad guys will make efforts to show that they are present. Now, in addition to that, many efforts are being made to empower the young people in the state so that their attention is taken away from criminality. UNDP is helping the government in that direction. There are many other non-kinetic approaches. Today I heard on the radio how people who have been kidnapped, those who have lost their lives, those who are asked to pay ransom, those who have lost their businesses, there is a network of relationship between the government and anybody who is a victim in whatever manner. Even children on their mother's back are being supported by the government, which is very good. Security officials who they live there lose their lives, of course, the commands will do something for them. Their military, paramilitary, DSS, the government, federal government will do for them, but the state government is doing a lot, monitoring to help them and their families. Your Excellency, a lot has been done, but we are not saying that we have reached the promised land. Rather, more work has to be done. And in this regard, I want to suggest three major things. Number one, we are aware that the federal government is going to establish forest guards. We must make sure that as a country, our forests are not safe havens. Everything that is done to clear our forests and make them standards for economic activities must be done. Therefore, the state government make efforts to ensure that our people join the forest guards. Number two, Nigeria is rich in air power. So before you send the forest guards, there must be proper utilization of air power to make sure that all the forests are cleared. Then I also suggest there must be massive community participation in the activities of the security agents. There must be a network or relationship between them and the communities, and our people must be oriented to that. Protecting everybody in the country requires everybody. Without people participating, it's going to be impossible or extremely difficult to protect everyone. Then I also want to raise the concern of some people that some security agencies, some vigilantes are involved in extortion, abuses, and these are things that must be checked. They must be scrutinized, then proper actions taken. But I must say that a lot of work has passed under the bridge. By the time we take steps and we continue to do what is needed, then our people will be secure, and it's a task that must be done. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Radna. That has been submission for the Security Committee. Now, moving on, the next one is from the Education Committee, and to make this presentation, we know other person than Associate Professor Babangida Laden. He is the Subdean Faculty of Education, Byron University, Kano, and the National President, Nigerian National Council for Adult Education. So Professor Reda has set standard as our timing, so
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, members of the State Executive Council, other distinguished personalities, please stand on the already established protocol. I am standing here to present my chairman, the chairman of the Education Sector Reform Committee, Professor Ismaila Zangu, who was unavoidably absent and for whom I'm standing proxy today. The Education Sector Reform Committee was established to review the Build Your Future roadmap of His Excellency Malandiko Umaru Rada before inauguration. The committee worked on 12 terms of references with 32 members drawn from the academia, from the universities, from the colleges of education, from the polytechnics, and even with some retired personnel of the Ministry of Education. Like I said, the committee was chaired by Professor Ismaila Zangu. The committee gathered relevant information through physical and online meetings, site visits, call for memoranda, formation of subcommittees, and a lot of other approaches. And based on the submissions that we got through all these processes, we gathered enormous recommendations. And because the recommendations are enormous, we put them into four. There are recommendations for basic and secondary education, recommendations on tertiary education, recommendations on adult and non-formal education. There are recommendations on voluntary and private engagement in education. When we were working in the committee, people thought that the recommendations are so enormous and maybe they cannot be implemented. But I told them that I knew Malandiko Umaru Rada for some 39 years ago, and I know he has some passion for education. And the secret, some people are mistaking the secret of the passion he has for education is because of the PhD he has. That is not true. The passion Malandiko has for education is because of the teacher training that he got in UP Zaria and the one he got in College of Education. The task I was given is to trace the achievements of Malandiko Umaru Rada in the education sector, but unfortunately in 5 minutes. So, I will mention some of the achievements that the government has achieved that are emanating from our own recommendations. Number one, there is a recruitment of 721 teachers through an open and transparent process. There was also the rehabilitation of many, 7,000, sorry. 7,000, I'm sorry, Your Excellency, sir. The second one is the rehabilitation of many existing primary and secondary schools in the state. There is also the establishment of 3 model schools for the gifted, one in each senatorial zone of the state. Another achievement is the introduction of vocational entrepreneurship and IT skills to pupils at the upper basic level of education. There's also the restructuring of the former Ministry of Education into Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and the Ministry of Higher and Vocational Education. There's also improved teacher training and capacity building. Before the coming of this government, teachers were left without training. But alhamdulillah, we have someone that has passion for education. Our teachers are trained regularly. Another achievement is that we have full implementation of the basic education policy. You know, the UBE Act is operating on a 9-year basic education, where the junior secondary school is a segment of its own. We've not seen this into reality until the coming of Malandiko Rada. We now have separate structures for separate physical and administrative sectors for the junior secondary and for the senior secondary, and that is the provision of the Universal Basic Education Policy. Another achievement is the transferring of the BATC to the Ministry of Higher and Vocational Education. Before the coming of Malandiko, the BATCs were redundant and that they are not very functional. but now they are being transferred to the Ministry of Higher and Basic Education. There's also the renaming of the Yusuf Bala Osman College of Legal Studies to Yusuf Bala Osman College of Education. This renaming might seem to an ordinary person not an achievement, but it is an achievement because it gave the institution the ability to harness state funding. The last one that I will mention here is the effort made by His Excellency to connect Umaru Musa Yar'Adua University with Zobedam so as to ease water scarcity. These are some of the achievements of this administration. Like I said, we have enormous recommendations. But from the enormous recommendations, I want to bring out, highlight, I wish the slide will work. Okay. I will want to bring out 15 of go up. Yeah, come here, it's all right. These are some of the recommendations that I feel are of need urgent attention from the enormous recommendations that we have. The first one is that there should be, the government should place emphasis of adult and non-formal education to cater for those that cannot or will not go to formal schools. How do we do that? By the revival of the State Agency for Mass Education. As the National President of the Nigerian National Council for Adult Education, I have seen the benefit of the investments governments are doing in the adult and non-formal education sector. Secondly, there is need for the recruitment of teachers for specific subject areas. I want to mention the subject areas: English literature, accounting, electronics, basic science, basic technology, health education, and computer application. From the data we have in the committee work, the data we got from the Science and Technical Board, all these subjects have less than five teachers in it. For English literature, I have only 5 teachers in all the science schools. And you know the relevance of English literature. For you to read law or to read English, you have to have English literature. And the government we are running in Katsina State is ICT driven, so we cannot do without people who have basic science, basic technology, and computer application. The next one is the revival of the Nordic schools. Your Excellency, the place you visited last week, Maharaba community in Matazu local government, that is where we have one of the best nomadic education schools in the 90s. And the relevance of that institution has been felt in those days. So I am calling on the government to provide education. Another one is provide educational support for displaced and out-of-skill children. For this, I would say provide additional support, because I'm sure the government is doing so much on that area. We also want you to strengthen the Almadi school system and integrated private education system. The issue of street begging is becoming a menace in Katsina, and majority of people that are begging are not in the Almadi schools. So let the government know the actual Almadi students, and then find a way of supporting them. Those others, the government can find a way of dealing with them so that they don't tarnish the image of our state. Another one is the improvement in the monitoring and supervision of schools for quality assurance. Definitely, the government has done so much in infrastructure. We need to see so much on monitoring and supervision of schools. The teachers have been given the training. They have the working equipment, but nobody is there to supervise what they are doing. I'm calling on the government to emphasize more on the monitoring and supervision of schools. We also want you to, Your Excellency, to improve teacher salary and give them special allowances. The teacher cannot teach on an empty stomach. They can't teach on an empty stomach. So let's give them a specialized salary and specialized allowances. Okay. The next one is that I want you to start the process of teacher recruitment for the 3 model schools. I'm saying this today because I don't know when the schools will be launched, but I don't want to have a fire brigade during the recruitment process. Let's begin the process from now, because it is a special school. Therefore, we'll also need special teachers that will do the development of establishing the schools. We also want you, Excellency, to improve the funding higher institutions of Kaduna State need to go for further studies, need to attend conferences, need to conduct researches, and they cannot do that on an empty stomach. So, Prof, Your Excellency, we need to see this improvement. The next one is we want you to end water scarcity in the tertiary institutions of the state. Your Excellency, you will bear me witness that there will be no sanitation without water. Water is essential. So let's end the water scarcity that we have in the tertiary institutions of the state. We also want you, Your Excellency, to provide additional hostel and staff accommodation in tertiary institutions. This will keep the lecturers and the students so that they don't run about. The next one is we want you to put the line minister campus of Umaru Musa Eradua into utilization. The process of putting it into utilization is already in our report. So you can refer to the report and see what we have made and how we are going to put the place into utilization. The next one is we want you to revive the Bala Abdullahi College of Administration Funtua. It has been a very good school. Has talked about the relevance of civil servants. This is where civil servants are trained. We want to excellence this college and put it into the proper utilization. The last one, we want you to work towards increasing enrollment in Isa Kttv College of Education and Yusuf Bala Usman College of Education. A lot of investments has been done in those institutions, but the number of students they have nowadays are very minimal, and it doesn't give some value for money. So we should find a way of increasing the enrollment with a scholarship or whatever means the government can afford. Let's go. Go. Yes, we have some part of the report that we have we are giving for guidance. This attempt of references that we worked on, you can just go ahead. They are about 12 in number. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. And this is our recommendation on the implementation guidelines for improving the basic education. These are some of the recommendations we have given. Some of them have been implemented and some are in the pipeline. Go up. The next one is implementation strategies for improving Umaru Musa. We have even when it should be done. Some of them have been done, some are in the pipeline. Go up. Go up. Go up. Go up. The next one is the implementation strategy for the improvement of Isa Kttv education. Go up. The next one is the implementation strategy for Yusuf Bala Usman College of Education. Go up. The next one is the implementation strategy for Bala Abdullahi College of Administration Funtua. Go up. Go up. The next is the implementation framework for the repositioning of adult and non-formal education sector in Katsina State. The recommendations, the timelines, and who will do action there. The next one is the implementation framework for suitable model for establishing a community learning center. We felt there is need for community learning centers in Katsina State. In the document, we have outlined the benefits of having the community learning centers and how they can be formed. We are taking a model from a community learning center in Malumfash. Go up. Go up. Go up. The next one is the implementation strategy framework for incorporating academic and vocational training to Almighty vocational training for the Almajiri school so that they don't roam about or they don't beg and they don't cause a menace in our state. The next one is implementation framework for improving the performance of existing skill acquisition centers.
In my earlier introduction, I've skipped the Jikamshi, is from Jikamshi. Thank you very much. Next submission is from the Health Committee, and the presenter is no other person than Naz Nuruddin Umar. I think he's a psychiatric nurse by profession. I want to draw his attention that we're not patients here, so please do manage the time and then deliver where you were expected to do so. Naz Nuruddin Umar.
Thank you so much, Bishop Brian. Your Excellency, sir, Madam Duko Umarada, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, other members of the High Table, it's a great opportunity for me to represent the health sector on the review of Katsina State Health Sector Blueprint. Next slide, please. Your Excellency, sir, you may wish to recall that we were in your conference room to present on the reviewed blueprint strategies on health, and of which you are highly convinced and impressed, and as well, there and then, a 14-member committee was actually inaugurated by you, sir. That go back to the field and make an assessment to understand the status of health delivery system in Katsina State. That was what actually gave birth to this report. The reason why I brought this is for us to appreciate the status at which His Excellency took over the health status of Katsina State. The report actually presents the finding of a need assessment of health sector, which includes all the general hospitals in Katsina State, specialist hospital, specialty hospitals, primary healthcare centers, and as well, health tertiary institutions. Next slide, please. So all those hospitals were actually covered, with the exception of few hospitals that were actually situated in security compromised areas. Next slide, please. So the areas where we dwell were human resource for health in the 3 specialist hospitals in Katsina State. By seeing this red was actually portraying the status at which His Excellency took over health sector in Katsina State across these areas, meaning that the status of availability of human resources was just 40%. Next, please. Next, please. And then human resource for 4 pilot hospitals: General Hospital Katsina, Daura, Dusama, Malumfashi, Futua, were actually 26%, and 74% was actually nothing in there. Yes. And as well, sir, the 7 other general hospitals then, the status was actually alarming. And I could remember by the time we came to this stage, initially there wasn't an approval for media to come in. I could vividly clear and recall that His Excellency gave the mandate to all media members to come to the conference hall for them to assess the reality. That was just availability of 16% in the 7 general hospitals. as well, the training institutions. Yeah. This is human resource for health availability in primary health care centers in Katsina State. That was somewhere in June 2023. We can go through the various cadre that we have in our primary health care centers in Katsina State, where we have more than 2,000 facilities. Medical officer, 19%, CHO, 24%, nurses and midwives, 20%, CHIU, 38%. I think the highest was EHO, environmental health officers, where they carry 50%. And of which, sincerely speaking, they are not supposed to be even in the primary health care centers. They're supposed to be in the public arena where they can provide the services needed from them. Please, we can go to the next stage. And the list on the previous stage, nutrition was 15%. 15%. And it was a list. So with this, in terms of equipment on obstetric and gynecology department for the whole pilot hospitals, that was the situation. Wherever you see red, I don't need to explain the reasons why we put red there. But the green there is representing a kind of what? Positive impact there. So this was how His Excellency took over the pilot hospitals in terms of what? Equipment at ONG and other sectors. Next, please. This is also the status of equipment in ONG department for 3 specialist hospitals in Katsina State. It was really alarming. Next, please. And then, accident and emergency unit. Very important unit. Whoever is approaching the hospital, this will be the first contact. And in 2023, June, assessment, that was the status. That was 32%. That was a green area. Then 68% was actually the worst. So now, coming to the commitment of Madam Duko Umarada. This is very clear. I don't need to explain more. Whoever is actually not even visiting hospitals, even going around to see what is happening, justification can make it very much clear. When we look at the project description here, construction of a dry store, other state primary health care agency actually signify preparation, planning, and telling you that something is about to happen. Because you cannot build a store where you keep things without making a plan that future things are coming. So that's what gave us confidence that actually that is going to be a revolution in the healthcare industry. And was actually completed. Then revitalization of healthcare facilities under the basic healthcare provision funds. You can see the number Doctor. Then, Kttv. In the last 3 years, I made a presentation with this effect. There is no single country that provides free care services and what? Social services. One of that social services is having what? Is having an initiative like this, a kind of contributory scheme. With that contributory scheme, we can clearly see that the expansion of healthcare what? Coverage is actually very much demonstrating a remarkable kind of growth and commitment to what? Universal healthcare coverage. And by enrolling thousands of residents, including civil servants, vulnerable populations, and informal sector workers, ensuring an equitable access to healthcare services across the state, obviously is helping us. And it's very guaranteed because each and every civil servant in the state is captured under the scheme. Now this year, they have captured 8,000 plus retirees to get a free medical care throughout their life. Special healthcare programs for retirees. That's what I'm talking about. Initially, retirees were afraid because I was discussing the executive officer. He was saying that very few were going to register for the services. It was later discovered that they were afraid to be deducted from their pension. Then it was clearly explained to them that they will continue to enjoy these services free of charge throughout their lifetime. And they have captured excellent results. And bear me witness, the Association of Retired Civil Servants in the state are very much aware about this. That's a testimony. Thank you. Then, improved healthcare facilities and the services. No doubt, Kttv activities is actually improving the healthcare facilities in Katsina. And this is exactly what gave us to the award, the national award we received last year. And it's actually a positive recommendation to Your Excellency, sir. Another story. Just this night, I received a phone call that Katsina State is also nominated as one of the that are going to be awarded in this year, 2025. And I'm hoping that in the next few months, I hope I will be among those people that will be able to collect that award, inshallah. Doctor? You can see the award that was actually received last year, and we are hoping to continue this, especially because of this retirement program. Yes. Hospital Service Management Board. No doubt. We see this dialysis center. It's actually smart. And virtually, she had it to her, Jayahado, Jayahado. Allah to let He started his name and ancient Alice. Hospital upgrades, comprehensive healthcare center, and others. Obviously, is something worthy of commendation. Personnel recruitment. In these 2 years, Governor Rada actually improved the lifestyle of people in this healthcare industry while he recruited over 640 health workers, clearly defined. And that's what led to the opening of those new general hospitals in these referring areas. Then medical supplies. He's done something very wonderful. And up to this moment, we have had no any states that have actually secured medical equipment worth 10 billion through partnership. And God so kind is actually waiting for installment very soon. It enhances the healthcare infrastructure. Can you use this? Can you see this? I believe you guess where is this hospital situated? It is situated at orthopedic unit. Go ahead, please. You can see. Yes? You see? That's the center. Tertiary institutions. College of Nursing Sciences Manufacturing was also struggling with what? Staffing, staff development scheme, better funding, attention to uncompleted project. College of Health Sciences, please. The previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. College of Health Sciences, also staffing, staff development scheme, better funding, similar renovation carried out in the sister institutions. Concerned is the College of Nursing, for example, one on the counter, one on the counter. Also, talking about what staffing and what staff development scheme. Please. This is, please, the previous slide, please. The previous slide. This is College of Nursing, Islam. Immediately after the completion of this project, all the nursing students will be two in each room by contrast. Meaning that the issue of what? Hostel accommodation is actually gone. Next, please. Next, please. This is another one in School of Nursing, Islam. The other one in manufacturing. Please, Doctor. So, conclusion. No doubt the Katsina State government is fully planned and prepared and actively working toward improving healthcare access and equality for its residents, with focus on achieving universal healthcare coverage. These commitments include partnership with organizations like and collaborations with different national and international non-governmental firms. We truly observed and are convinced that the government is investing in infrastructure, digitalization, and specialized services, community engagement among others, for the betterment of the people of Katsina State. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nuruddin Umar. I want to announce that His Excellency the Governor is interested in these submissions. But then, for want of time, we are expected to present the achievements and the way forward, limited within the scope, so that we can take us all the presentation as directed, please. So subsequent speakers go straight to tell His Excellency the achievements and the way forward. That's the directives from him. So we hope that the upcoming speakers will strictly adhere to this instruction, so that His Excellency will be on the same page as far as our committee's submissions. Next, IGR Committee, Engineer Kabir Al-Hussein Ruma is the founder of Jakarta Ruma Foundation. So I think it's even in order, you skip the protocol and then you just go straight for us to save time.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His Excellency, sir, permit me to recognize the existing protocol by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu to all the members of this high gathering. I'm here, my name is Engineer Kabir Al-Hussein Ruma, Jakarta Ruma, presenting on behalf of IGR Committee. And like I said, the chairman of the committee is Professor Sani Mashi. And a little background of the committee is the fact that about 21 members of the committee participated in making this presentation. What I wanted to say, I will summarize or I will capture the essence of all my presentation is that I'm happy to announce to the members of this gathering that history is repeating itself in Katsina State, the home of hospitality, courtesy of the IGR drives of His Excellency Madam Duko Umar Rada. Some of us may wish to remember that once upon a time in 1973, Yakubu Gowon once upon a time said, the problem of Nigeria then is not money, but how to generate the money. But the problem now is not how to spend the money, but rather how to generate the money. But courtesy of the initiative of His Excellency, as can be seen in these figures, all these figures are captured, are published by His Excellency himself in the www.katsinastategovernment.org. You can see that paradigm, as can be seen, is from 22 to 2025. In 2022, Katsina State government budget about 308 billion. 30 billion was generated. The budget was 13.9 billion IGR, but only 8.2 was raised. Then we have a gap of about 4.9 with a performance of 62.5% low compared to what is budgeted and the actual budget. For year 2023, 300 billion, 33 was budgeted IGR, 19.7 raised, 13.6 billion, 59.6. High performance compared to the budgeted amount. After 2024, 526.5 billion was budgeted, 4.2 billion was the IGR budgeted, already 2.3 billion was raised, 11.9 was actually the deficit, representing IGR performance of 73.2% high. For year 2025, it can be seen 68.2% was actually budgeted for this year. As at the time I'm talking, His Excellency sir is here to publish for the first and the second quarter. We are already in the second quarter for fiscal year 2025. That's why next slide. And the performance review is from the perspective of Katsina State government. While this is another external appreciation of the IGR drive of Katsina State from Woodgate, which is the most important private institution in Nigeria in terms of fiscal performance. You can see in year 2022, Katsina State government was ranked 17th in terms of IGR generation in Nigeria, which means that for the year 2022, the then governor was able to raise about 2,447 per each citizen of Katsina State. His Excellency in year 2023, Katsina State was ranked 30th from 17th in 2021. In 2024, Katsina State government was ranked 31st from 30th in 2022, which means that His Excellency have generated for each indigenous of Katsina State about 2,157. Can we appreciate His Excellency? Next slide. These are the further areas. The previous slides, we are able to highlight what we as a committee recommended to His Excellency, and we equally also highlighted what His Excellency was able to achieve. These are the performance. These are the other areas expected for IGR improvement in Katsina State. Voluntary tax compliance. As I'm coming to Katsina State from Kaduna this evening, when I see the flyover at Lambarimi, I was highly impressed. And in my mind, I said, this is the value of money we are talking about. As a taxpayer, when you see things by yourself like this, you'll be impressed, you'll be encouraged to be tax compliant. Treasury single account implementation, how far? I always, whenever I heard of this TSA in Katsina State, what I normally ask is always, as one of the beneficiaries of a housing scheme in Katsina State, I normally call the housing authority and ask them, if I want to pay my money for the house I have, how do I pay it? Once they told that TSA is here to come in Katsina State, but I assure His Excellency, when you're talking about issue of IGR drive, it is two-way. One of them is to prevent the leakages, and the other one is to increase more. So TSA is strategic, whatever initiative Katsina State government will do. OGP, however, open governance partnership. These are some of the partnerships that it may suppose to know that in the whole of Nigeria so far, it is only Kaduna State government that is a member of OGP. Kaduna State government has already constituted a committee to ensure that Kaduna State is a member of OGP. Once they say Kaduna State government is a member of OGP, you know that Kaduna State, there is a minimum fiscal benchmark that Kaduna State have satisfied. Islamic finance. It may interest you to know that in last year, what I want to tell His Excellency that it is Kaduna State to get rid of interest from the economy of Katsina State. Then we have an excuse for interest banking, interest loan. But now we have Islamic banks, six capital market, a lot of other activities for Islamic banking. Then Katsina State government, is high time for Katsina State government to elaborate on them like Cook. was the first state in Nigeria to issue book on private placement. I want His Excellency, from the expiration of your 8 years term in Katsina State, to see the possibility of leveraging of this book to finance anything apart from the normal conventional bonding. Rationalization of MDS, there is no saying of that. Katsina State government can release huge amount of revenue if the MDS of Katsina State will be rationalized, meaning that there's a lot of duplication of duties in some of them. If the consulate committee to look at them, rationalize them, remove the duplication, huge amount of money may be released. Formalization of market and local markets, with view to bring these marketers to within the tax bracket so that they can be able to be paying tax. Annual tax dialogue with view to encourage taxpayers. It may interest His Excellency to know that 2 years ago, during the Erupai in Kaduna State government, Kaduna State every year what they call annual tax dialogue, where the taxpayers and the government sit down together and brainstorm with regard to HR. It may interest us to know that one of the greatest persons that is the highest taxpayer in Kaduna State government is from Kaduna State. He had a handshake with His Excellency, recognized and awarded with an award. Next slide. Next slide. Concluding remark. His Excellency said, you can see that as of year 2024, based on the record available, His Excellency was able to generate 44.2 billion naira as AGR of Kaduna State. But looking at what IMF, the Kaduna State government had a tax potential of about 17% of GDP of Kaduna State. According to World Bank, as of 2021, the GDP of Kaduna State is 3.32 trillion. 17% of that amount, meaning that Katsina State government had a revenue potential of about 500 billion, which through this tax compliance and other things, Excellency, is achievable and not realistic without necessarily violating the LAPA cap, because revenue are not generated indefinitely. Next slide. Congratulate His Excellency for your IGI drive in Katsina State from 2021 up to from when you come on board up to here, which is commendable, which is highly appreciated, and I tell His Excellency on behalf of my committee member that you can do more in that regard. And on behalf of the committee, I'm happy to announce that His Excellency has recognized the committee. Out of our 21 members of the committee, already 7 have been recognized for their performance in the committee with various appointments, ranging from the board chairman of the, which is the members of the committee, Dr. Ghani, Dr. Seifullahi, and many others, and which on behalf of the committee, I say Jazakallah bi khairi jazakihi. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Engineer Kabir Abdullahi, Kabir Al-Hussein Ruma, founder of the Kader Ruma Foundation. Still on the directives place, achievements, the gaps. His Excellency is interested in knowing that for the way forward. Next, quickly, Land Reform Committee, Dr. Umar Yusuf Bazari, Department of Math and Statistics, Hassan Usman Kassan Technique.
Please permit me to start on the existing protocol. So I'm here just to present a scorecard on the achievements so far in land physical planning, land administration policies. So here are the achievements so far. Please, next slide. Maybe I would like to present the graphs order, the charts. Please, next, go to the charts, please. The charts. So wait, please. So like here, being the chairman of our committee, Dr. Faisal Keita, was given the mandate to head the department. So actually, we don't have problem in that committee, and alhamdulillah. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the every leadership of His Excellency for making it real, because that is how to do it. Because we make the recommendations, and he is actually implementing them to the last. Yes, there's no problem in that. So here is part of the our recommendation for the establishment of Kttv, which the House of Assembly called for public hearing. As you can see, they did, and alhamdulillah, it was implemented. Next, please. So here is another picture of our recommendation for staff training, and His Excellency is supervising some automated equipments in the land sector. So this communique actually tells a lot, because it summarizes almost, I think, 8 or 9 of our recommendations with this single communique, because it's addressed. Next, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. So it's addressed all these issues. You can see, I think, 5 on the land administration, then on physical planning, 5, and another one which is very important, that is the registration of our local vendors, which is very important in the land issues, because these land vendors, without registration, they are actually causing a lot of problems in land issues in the state. So alhamdulillah, this community addressed that issue right on the head. So this is the assessment on the recommendation that we had. So unfortunately, I think if you can look on the item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th item, that is the staff recruitment. I was not able to have the data before today, but I just met the Honorable Commissioner on his way coming in. He told me that yes, this also was implemented in the ministry. So that is the only sector I think was blank in this case, but as you can go across, you can see that almost all the sectors were 50% completion in terms of implementation of our recommendation. Some were even 100%. Like the Kttv is 100%. Revocations of land, that communique stamp that all illegal lands were immediately revoked from all the cities across the state. Then harmonization of these agencies. What we mean here is that previously there are a lot of agencies that are awarding lands, like maybe the local government chieftaincy, the local government, the state land URB, and there are many agencies then before His Excellency administration. But with this community, that has come to an end. So then also the gray areas, or maybe the places that I think need more attention now. Back please. Sorry, please, back. So the areas that need more attention, like the first one is the master plan issue. And also on this master plan, I was briefed by the Honorable Commissioner that, there was a lot of progress. But based on the available data that I got, it was almost 50% implementation. So, but I am assured that this will also be approved in the near future. And then the issue of mapping the lands, especially these grazing routes that cause these farmers and others clashes, which resulted in this issue of banditry and this rest of chaos situation in the state. But alhamdulillah, in general, overall assessment of this reform recommendation that we gave to His Excellency, I think, next slide please, the implementation level currently in 2 years' time is at 71%. So it was assessed to be 21%, which we know that the remaining 29% possibly can be done within the next 1 year or so. And next slide, please. So in conclusion, next slide. So His Excellency performed excellently beyond our expectation, actually, because yeah. So actually, so in the so in conclusion, His Excellency actually has performed beyond our expectation, because for a person that presented a policy document for his tenure of 4 years and achieving 71% in just 2 years, actually is beyond our expectation. And although he has made some other contributions that even serve better the presentation of the recommendations, like there were a lot of even policies that were not even recommended, but he thought ahead of the recommendation and provided those policies and implemented them, which actually resulted to a more better land reforms and physical planning. I can vividly remember that his Honorable Commissioner was on a tour in the state where he visited some areas that people were building on drainages. I was following his Twitter handle, and immediately I saw an order from His Excellency directly say that this is unacceptable, because these buildings were done illegally and on drainages. And actually, I would say that having this His Excellency as a digital governor, because at any time, anywhere, he is working. Yes, he is digital actually. So it is not only in his office, because several times attested to that. So thank you so much for listening, and may God bless His Excellency to continue these good reforms and beyond. Indeed, the future is brighter in Kaduna State. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, IGR. I think in a couple of minutes is going to be Thursday, because it's very close to 12 midnight, and even the light cloud is just an indication that we're heading to the next day. So we're still appealing to the remaining presentation, please, to be as brief as possible. I still have on my list the traditional institution, religious reforms, agricultural reforms, small media enterprises, as well as the scorecard. So about 5 representations before the keynote address by His Excellency the Governor. So Traditional Institutions Committee, Dr. Aminu Lawal, Department of History, Umaru Sarah University. Traditional Institutions Committee,
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Madam Dipo Umar PhD. Your Excellency, permit me to stand before all, duly observe protocols. I stand here on behalf of the Traditional Institutions Reform Committee, which I chaired since when it was inaugurated, immediately after the executive governor has won his election. We work with the other members of the committee, which were about 24 members. Many of them, I've seen them here present. After our committee, we come up with various recommendations which we presented before His Excellency. And Alhamdulillah, today I'm very proud of that achievement that His Excellency has achieved within the period of 2 years with regard to traditional institutions. First and foremost, immediately after His Excellency being in his office, he created Office of a Special Advisor on Chieftaincy Affairs, because what we observed, without having that particular office, the activities related to traditional institutions will be a headache. So that is why we recommended that, and His Excellency immediately created that office. And Alhamdulillah, mandated the affairs of that office to one of those people who are very relevant and who are ready to work towards the achievement of excellency in person of Malikin Katrina, Alhaji Usman Abajai, who was also here present. Secondly, another achievement is that His Excellency introduces the allowances to village heads and ward heads, because before this government, I can say there was no allowance that is given to these very important people. But you can't even expect these people to deliver what is expected without having something that will go with them at least after every month. So His Excellency has introduced 10,000 naira allowance to village heads and ward heads across the 360 wards we have in Katsina State. Another achievement was that involvement of traditional rulers and community development officers. As you all know that these traditional rulers are always with the people. They're always ready to serve the people. Whenever any child found in any community, the first to look is Meungwa. So the involvement of these people really help in achieving the set objectives needed in our local communities. Then His Excellency introduced establishment of database to all ward and village heads, because without mapping out the number and the location of these people, you can't even go directly and strategize how you assist and enhance the institution. Alhamdulillah, the introduction of this database really helped in the establishment of the government set objectives related to traditional institutions. Then, revitalization of Salah Daba. This is very important achievement, because we all know how the Salah Daba of Katsina was before the coming of this administration. I can recall that in 1956, Katsina became the winner of the Daba, which was took place in Kaduna to welcome the Queen Elizabeth when she came into the northern of Nigeria. So after that, the Daba that we have in Katsina always moving into another stage, which I can't say anything about it, but Alhamdulillah, it's now reviving its lost glory. We are all witness that, how the last Salah Daba in Katsina was, because for over 2 decades, it was the first time that about 10 ambassadors have witnessed the Katsina Salah Daba, which we were seeing when we are younger ones. But today, Alhamdulillah, His Excellency invited them, and they came witness the Salah Daba in Katsina. To make sure that Salah has organized the way it was expected, our head district heads and village heads really went their homes with a mega amount given by the Knesset government, because before that very period, district heads were receiving between 50,000 naira to 100,000 naira in order to sponsor their people from their own wards or districts into Katsina to process the Salah Daba, which we are very sure at this time of economic situation, this cannot be possible. So with the Commissioner Excellency, he reviewed that into 1,000%, because from 1,000 naira to 1 million naira per district set. This is very good achievement. And also, the village head also went his song with 200,000 naira for him to prepare his people coming to Katsina in order to process Salah Dawa. Another achievement was that if you consider Salah Dawa, it's not only for the people to come and showcase their cultural identity alone, but it is an area where people gather. The gathering of that very people will enhance the economic activities of the area. So the Salah Dawa in Katsina really help a lot for people to benefit from their economic activities. Then renovation of Emir's Palace. We are all told that Katsina and the Emir's Palace experience a very great and giant renovations, which today people can go and see how they become. As you can see, His Excellency witnessed the Salah Daba in both Katsina and Daura. At that very down, you can see how the people from European countries coming and Americans coming into Katsina for them to experience the Salah Daba. You see how colorful the Salah was. Conclusively, I can say that His Excellency really achieved a lot with regard to traditional institutions. And I hope this coming Salah Daba to witness in the next 10 days, people will really see the things that they have not seen before. Alhamdulillah, I thank people here. God bless academic staff, God bless Madam Doko Omar Rada, and God bless Kano State. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before the next presentation, I want to extend this special invitation that part of the activities lined up for tomorrow, there will be special prayers at the banquet hall of the government house by 10 a.m. So all are cordially invited. And then by 12 noon tomorrow, His Excellency, the Governor will be commissioning the water project, venue very close to the Federal Teaching Hospital, Katsina, time 12 p.m. And then there is another commissioning this time around, the Ross project, venue Marabanu, Sawa, Tabani, Road, a route to Kano State, time 2 p.m. Inshallah. Next, Committee, Religious Reform Committee, Dr. Nur Mohamed Ilyasu, Department of Islamic Studies, Umar Radwa University, Kano. I have a well-established protocol. If you like, you stand or you sit on it, it's not going to break. So we expect a doctor to Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I stand on the existing protocol, and I would like to start by congratulating His Excellency for what he is able to achieve within 2 years. It's a great thing, and I believe his ability to plan has done some wonders. And also I want to say that I used to liken him to one of my role models in the history, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, who was prudent and also a very serious leader. He told his son Al-Mahdi on his deathbed, he gave him advice that you should do your work yourself and also never allow your treasury to be empty. And I believe the governor has these two characteristics. One thing I remember when we made presentation on the Religious Affairs Reform Committee was that we emphasized on the issue of Hizbah, and when we emphasized on that issue, at the conclusion of the presentation, His Excellency also emphasized on it. And he even promised that within 100 days in office, Hizbah board was going to be established. Though it wasn't established after 100 days, but it was established later, and I think it was one of the first things to have been done by any government. What are my slides? Okay. And the Hizbah board has done a lot of things. The activities fight against morality, contribution in security and safety of communities, intervention in family, social life. Because that is very important to us as Muslims. That is what we are for. Kuntum khayra ummatan ukhrijat lin-nasi ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. When there is no command to do good and prohibition to do bad, then the whole community can be doomed. That is one of the achievements. Then secondly, there was, let's go to the next, there was the establishment of Zakat and Waqf. Zakat and Waqf also was something that was, or that is very great, because I have learned today that there was a certain local government, a single local government, that was able to gather up to 8,000 bags to be distributed as zakat. And also we have seen what the zakat and waqf is doing, renovation of graveyards, and also facilitating in the Hajj, administrating Hadaya and things of that nature. We have giant strides in Hajj operations, improving the general welfare of pilgrims from Katsina State, free Hadaya for all Katsina State pilgrims in Saudi Arabia. Another giant stride is the organization of religious ecosystem, because we have a lot of problems in Nigeria where people preach the way they want and we don't have record of anything. But with the coming of this administration, Jum'at mosques are registered, and now the imams, the deputy imams, the muazzins of all the mosques are now put on allowance. And what I have learned from my research is that this is extended to, according to them, the governor said if there is a mosque that a Friday prayer is being said, no matter how small it is, these 3 stars should be included, and so far, more than 4,000 imams, deputy imams, and muazzins have been captured. Anyone that is not captured has a problem with his account or something of that nature. Also, there is the Sangaya initiatives, there is financial assistance to Sangaya, there is construction of toilets and boreholes for Sangaya that is going on in order for them to have a better sanitation. And likewise, there is a lot of assistance to books publication, Islamic books publication. There are assistances to Islamia schools and things of that nature to the tune of more than 500 beneficiaries so far. Also, there is facilitation of foreign aid. There was a school of Kttv College that has been borrowing place in Sokais. Now the school has been completed by the government of Kuwait out through the effort of the governor of the state. There is also renovation of religious institutions, renovation of 2 Jumu'at mosques in each of the 34 local governments, and one Islamia school to be facilitated or coordinated by members of House of Assembly. That is also another achievement. It is my belief, because I was the Assistant Secretary, I made the presentation, and I also typed document myself. It is my belief that all the recommendations by the Committee on Religious Affairs Reforms, at least 70% has been done or is in the process. Then, finally, I have some recommendations. One of them is that the Hizbah should be strengthened more, because Hizbah is beyond just closing hotels and things of that nature. There are other works like market regulation, there is social justice and public order, there is advising and education, which we all need. And also the zakat and waqf, more attention should depend on the issue of waqf, which we need a lot, because there is a lot of poverty in Nigeria, and Katsina is not an exception. And I would like also to recommend the efforts of the governor to make sure that the things that you do in the religious sector benefit wider people in the society. Because when you renovate mosques, the whole community will benefit, and when you renovate Islamia, the whole community also will benefit. So any further inputs towards the religion, I still recommend that they should not go to just individuals, but rather should go to what the whole community can benefit. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam. You're just done exactly 12 midnight, so the next presenter will present Thursday, 29, because it's going to be minutes after 12 midnight. I think I was meant to understand that the Agricultural Reform Committee submission is not here, it's not available. So we're skipping that. What remains is the SME and then the scorecard. I sincerely wish Dr. Ibrahim Ghani from Isa Keita, who is going to present on the SMEs, will be as brief as possible, please. Considering elders here in the house, so we still need to finish in earnest, please. Achievements, gaps. We're more interested in these two very important aspects. Kttv let us have the achievements and the gaps, please.
Straight to the achievements.
Yes.
Okay. It's all right.
Your Excellency, sir, permit me to follow the protocol. I'm here. My name is, as was introduced, as Dr. Ibrahim Ghani from Isaketa, but currently with Kaseda, due to this SME committee, as I can see. Alhamdulillah. SME committee was formed by His Excellency in order to review the BYF document so that it can be implemented based on his own experience as the former leader or former DG of Smedan. So the committee recommended for the establishment of Katsina State Enterprise Development Agency, Kaseda, and Alhamdulillah, His Excellency welcomed the idea and established Katsina State Enterprise Development Agency, Kaseda, on 1st October 2023, and also appointed one of its members of this committee as the Director General of Kaseda, Haja Aisha Amin. We serve together in this committee. So Kaseda, as an implementing agency of SME development in Katsina State, achieved a lot, and we are very proud of that. I'm here as a member of a coalition for academic development, but rather I can say I am more of Kaseda now. And all these achievements can be seen based on the number one achievement that we are very proud of is the establishment or formation of the SME fund, which is one of its kind in Nigeria. This fund of 3.4 billion naira MSME fund was established in partnerships with BOI, then as a matching fund, but now it is more of managed fund due to some, I can say BOI have yet to match the fund, but Alhamdulillah, we have the fund of 3.4 billion naira available for SMEs to develop in Katsina State. One of its kind in Nigeria. Secondly, based on this achievement, I can say the Kaseda already disposed this disbursing this fund through Bank of Industry and Sterling Bank, and this kind of disbursement is a loan, but with zero interest. I can hear Takada Rumu saying that he is waiting for His Excellency to implement Islamic banking. His Excellency already implemented Islamic banking. Our loans are zero interest. What you receive is what you are going to return back. And it is for SME only in Katsina State. And also, on this achievement of financial support and funding, we have Kaseda, in partnership with UNDP, distributed a grant of 542 million naira to entrepreneurs that are at the conflict areas from Jibia down to Sabo local government as a support because they have lost their own businesses. It is a great achievement in order to bring back those enterprises that we have lost. And also, a grant of 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira, and up to 300,000 naira were given to entrepreneurs, over 3,000 entrepreneurs in Katsina State, in order to, from using Kttv, Kttv, in partnership with the World Bank, Katsina State distributed such through Kaseda for the enterprise development in Katsina State. And also, Kaseda conducted a first ever MSME census, identifying over 600,000 businesses across Katsina State. It also mapped over 50,000 clusters, business clusters across Katsina State. It was those clusters were identified for, and they are all MSME clusters. On training and capacity building, over 3,000 youths were being in apprenticeship in different auto mechanic garages across Katsina State, including female. Even today, we went for monitoring and evaluation for these apprentices, and they were doing well. His Excellency created over 3,000 jobs within these 2 years through mechatronic apprenticeship support program in collaboration with NATA. Kaseda also trained over 850 women through NGOs and cooperatives into different skills and skills that can sustain them, especially in rural areas. On this capacity building and through Kaseda on enterprise development, Kaseda also training in partnership with EDC, that is Pan-African University. Over 10,000 women are going to be trained on different enterprise businesses, or I can say entrepreneurship training. Also on the capacity building, we have on capacity building, Kaseda also provided trained 217 youth on different skills, especially on IT, information technology, and His Excellency equipped these 217 youth with brand new Redmi laptop for them to depend on themselves. Just recently, 5,000 digital training slots secured from Wema Bank in partnership with Katsina State government. We are going to create over 5,000 slots of our businesses across Katsina State, inshallah, through Kaseda by His Excellency. So also, His Excellency through Kaseda on SME development created what we call Duko Innovation Academy. It is a social entrepreneurship academy that was existent in Uganda. His Excellency sponsored 3 of our indigenes here in order to study the Innovation Academy there, and now we are training over 50 youths for this innovation at this Innovation Academy for Social Enterprises. So also on infrastructural and shared facilities, we have Smeden IDC, Industrial Development Center, here in Katsina. It was established, it was built during His Excellency's tenure at Smeden, and it was grounded. His Excellency currently equipped that IDC with sophisticated, I can say, brand new machines that can be used for small businesses. We have printing department, tailoring department, and packaging department as shared resources, and it is now on operation. People are going there. Tailors that doesn't have tailoring shop, or I can say tailoring machine, they can be there to do their job, and also printers. We have DTF, it is one of its kind. In the whole Katsina, there is no such kind of machine. His Excellency provided it for the printers in order to use it for as shared resources. So also, we have on this renewable energy, Kaseda in partnership with Rural Electrification Agency have also secured a memorandum of understanding in order to provide solar power for small businesses across Katsina State. Through empowerment and startup support, over 1,000 youths received startup capital under Building Your Future program. Just recently, His Excellency empowered over 2,500 youths with capital in order to depend on themselves. There are so many, but I'm looking at the time and the MC is here with me. If I continue telling you what Kttv is doing here, up to maybe Friday again here. So therefore, I would like to stop here and thank His Excellency for his own vision on establishing Kttv in order to support SMEs in Katsina State. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kttv. Now, the last on my list is a scorecard. And I expect the Associate Prof. Mukhtar Balarabi to take us through is it a graph or one way or manner from 3 minutes highest time, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I can do less. Praises be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Him alone deserves to be worshipped, the creator of earth and heaven, and the sustainer of the universe. Your Excellency, sir, and the members of the High Table, please permit me to stand on the already existing protocol. Your Excellency, presentations have been made, and achievements have been shown in line with the recommendations in the policy documents that we have reviewed, as well as some gray areas that need attention have also been shown here. I think my own is to have the overall mark or score, just score the policy document to review it down, and then give the final verdict. Your Excellency, we are part of this government because ever since this going by your recommendations that we should merge the associations that are coming to you into one mega association that today we are calling Coalition for Academic Staff of Katsina State for Katsina State Development. The first assignment you have given to us is, okay, fine, you are for Katsina State Development. We have already developed a policy document. I review it. Let the all development begin from here, which we are very much grateful, and we got engaged in reviewing this. Our members actually did a very good work by having a lot of recommendations that gives the state some directions that you have undertaken in order to achieve all these things. And then what followed it is a lot of appointments in your government that we feel known. We have never witnessed this. As far as academic staffs are concerned, we have never seen a government that include a lot of academic staffs in the administration, just like the way you did, Your Excellency, which we are very much grateful. And looking at, since we are part of the government, of course we are doing the governance while we are making a follow-up to various ministries, parastatals, and the agencies to ensure that what we have reviewed, what we have commended, at least that there is some level of achievements in line with that recommendation, Your Excellency. And purposely, the reason for that is, please, if I can see the previous slide before dismissed. All right. Please, for us just to track the progress in implementing the recommendation outlined in the policy, identify the areas that needed improvement, just like we have shown, ensure transparency, promoting accountability, and informing the future policy decisions. And this will certainly bridge the gap between the government and the people. Next slide, please. So it is important for people to understand that this, our assessment, is actually based on the recommendations we have made to the policy document and also our finding in line with the implementation by His Excellency, the Governor. Then this is what we have seen. Your Excellency, based on the final assessment of all that has been implemented in line with our review and recommendations that we have given, you can see the public sector reform being the first of the 70% being achieved. We have the education, 80% to Excellency. We have given security, 74% to Excellency. SME that he has just finished presenting now, up to 74%. And we have, I think, the religious also as well, 80%, Your Excellency. And I think the list are IGR 70% and traditional institute reform, which is also 70%. But all this are in line with the academic that our own is, Your Excellency. And this is the score that we can give this administration. Please, next slide, Excellency. I have other things to say, His Excellency. Your Excellency, we acknowledge the fact that you have accomplished a lot, and also proud to report to you that you have achieved the overall 75% implementation across all the key policies we recommended. Please, next slide, let's see. So I think I can skip all this and maybe go to conclusion, please. Let's see what happens. So in conclusion, be rest assured that we will continue. We will not stop, Your Excellency. We will continue to follow so that we will monitor the progress, transparency in our action, and we will actively feedback from people. Just like this one that we have done, we go there physically to take some pictures. As you can see that some of our presenters have been displaying some pictures to validate what we have been doing. So this time around, or next time, Your Excellency, we'll be having some feedback that we will include in our home so that at least in order to achieve the remaining few percentages that remain, which we have that belief and trust in you, that by next year, by the grace of God, all will be 100%. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. I think we will promote you to FROG for managing our time here. Thank you most sincerely. I think I still wish to announce that activities for tomorrow, special prayers, 10 o'clock, Banquet Hall, Government House, Commission of Water Projects, venue near FT, Partition, Hospital Kasna time, 12 p.m., Commission of Road Projects, venue Marabobu Musawa Tabani Road in Kano State, time 2 p.m. And I think it's still from 11 to 11 a.m. adjustment. Thank you. Musawa 1 p.m. Thank you very much. The hospital 4 p.m. Thank you. Still just an addendum as regards to the health sector. Very important also the sponsorship by His Excellency of 41 students to study MBBS in Cairo, and then additional 60 to study the artificial intelligence in China. 61? 68. This is indeed a commendable effort by His Excellency the Governor. I all of us here that we are expecting more to come. All these achievements within the span of 2 years, more 2 years are also coming, and then we expect, God willing, when we look at the span of 8 years in Alanda, what we will achieve in Kazakhstan State. So on this note, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to invite His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kazakhstan State, Malam Komaro, the PhD, CON, to please deliver his speech for this evening activity.
Please, can we sit down? Please, can we sit down? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم. I have to go through the protocol because I have nobody to ask whether I can stand on the existing protocol. Unless if I can permit myself to stand on the existing protocol. So I permitted myself to stand on the existing protocol. Thank you very much, the organizers of this lecture. And I must appreciate the guest speaker, the discussant, and the committee representatives who made some presentation here. Mine is to thank you for this very important work you have done for the people of Katsina State, and to take you back a little, as mentioned by the guest speaker, the history behind all these things was when I was contemplating in my mind to contest for governorship 2 years before the election, I think 2018, I began to think of what will I do if I become a governor. Within that, I came up with some of these ideas. When I came up with these ideas, I called a colleague of mine and dictated to him, and he put a policy document. I dictated to him, and he put a policy document. When he put the policy document, I said, look, let's review it. Then I chose few of us, I think about 14 of us, and we traveled to Dubai and stayed for 14 days. And I presented my ideas. We put it to scrutiny. There were criticism. People were saying a lot of things on all of it. And at the end of it, we debated and came up with a document that we all believe is possible for us to implement. And when we came back, we started the electioneering campaign with the party Black Belt, and when we got the nomination, we now felt let's give it a wider perspective. So we put up about 200 knowledgeable people that we are proud of in this state to review what we have done. They criticize and make recommendations, and then they came up with a policy, and each of the committee made presentation, and there was criticism, observations, and what have you. At the end of it, all of us agreed that we should implement this strategic policy, and it was named Building Your Future. One thing that I have been nursing in my mind and what I had wanted to do in my life is to always try the impossibilities. When people always say that this thing is not possible, you can't do it, I believe it can be doable, and I can do it, and I can give it a try. So it is always good to test some challenges. First of all, when I wanted to do public administration reform, people were saying you can't do it. This is Katsina. There are a lot of interests. People will not allow it. They will sabotage it. They will not do that. I said I will do it, and we did it. In fact, and I want to break a jinx, because all the time you speak about politicians, they will tell you they are lies, they don't fulfill their promise, whatever is a lie, they are not going to do it, empty promises. I said my promises are not going to be empty, and I will deviate from that fact, and I will make sure that whatever I believe I will do, and I put it, and I promise people I will try to deliver it. In a process of delivering it, if I could not be able to achieve it because of some factors, I'll come back and tell people that because of social reason, we could not be able to achieve this and that. And to God be the glory, all what we have promised to deliver in Kttv State, if we have not completed it, we are almost at the completed it. Leadership require people that are trustworthy, people that care for others, people that speak the truth. I see no reason why we should be attributing some very negative characters or leaders. If you have made up your mind to be a leader, and if God in his infinite mercy made you one, you try to do something that will give you moral authority to govern. You can be able to turn back and tell your followers to do this because they never found wanting in doing otherwise. Everybody who is ready to take up leadership must have moral authority. Failure to have moral authority, that was the reason that politicians were attacked with different names. We are not perfect. We have shortcomings as human beings. I've never said it anywhere that I'm a perfect person, but I'm trying to be one as much as I can. This is a trust. The money we are spending is not my money. I didn't come along with it from Ratna because my father doesn't have this kind of money. But this is money that is trusted in us. Some people will call us many names. I am Amugunchini, I am Bakinchikini. Many names. It doesn't bother me. Let's do the right thing. And in the process of doing the right thing, you can even get whatever you want to get. But let it not be our primary aim to have position to accumulate wealth. That should not be our primary responsibility. That should not be the main reason of coming into government. It touches my mind. When I went round, I was in Gobirawa, my local government, where they had the incidents of the bandit. But despite the challenges and despite the problems they are in, they were praying for us. They were cheering us, despite the loss. Why? Because they believe in the leadership. And I believe in ka ci amana wa'annan mutanen sai Allah ya ci amanarka. When people have confidence in you and they have trust in you, what you need to do as an individual is to make sure that you do what you can to support those people. It's not that I don't like money. And I know how some of my colleagues are operating. I was a local government chairman. I was a chief executive at the federal level. I know how to get money if I had wanted to. But you should, as much as possible, have human face in whatever you are doing. Put your shoes in the position of others and appreciate what God has done to you. have told everybody who cares to listen that I inherited 4,500 from my late father. And here I am standing as a governor of this state. And people, I was not even the first, second, third people they were expecting would win the election. But God did this favor for me. The only way I can pay back is to try to be fair to people in discharging my responsibility. What you did today, I will not take it for granted. You have done an excellent work. If I had known the committees will do this work and make this presentation, I wouldn't have bothered myself to make a speech tomorrow, because you have spoken for the administration. And it's not coming from my mouth, it's not coming from any of the government staff. It's coming from people outside this administration. So if I had known, I wouldn't have wasted my time to put up a speech to read tomorrow morning. But since it's ritual, I will still go ahead with it. But at least you have done an assessment and you are part and parcel of the work and the recommendations. The recommendations you have made, we'll try and see what we can to improve on what we are doing. On some of your observations, we'll try to look at those observations and see what we can be able to deliver. But our hope is to be able to meet the expectation, not only of you who have made these recommendations, but the expectations of the entire people of the state. I'm very grateful for what you have done, because this thing that you have done is not for me, it's not for this administration, it's for the people of Katsina State. And I believe the way you have done this, it has really demonstrated to me that there are a lot of people with commitment for the development of Katsina State. Some of you have not, most of you have not gotten an appointment in this administration. There are some of you that have not seen from that time until today. But that does not deter you from doing this excellent work for the people of Katsina State. Please keep tracking us. Keep tracking us. Tell us where we are wrong, tell us where we are right, and tell us where we need to improve. As I told you earlier, we are not perfect. If we are perfect, we wouldn't have called those people to put in their input in our document. But you should help us in making assessment on some of the policies we are adopting and some of the programs we are implementing. There are some programs that people will feel that are not too important for us to do. There are some that we are doing which, yes, people believe they are. But maybe that is within our judgment. At the wider scope, it may look different. So please, I'm begging you, keep tracking us, keep assessing us, and keep telling us the truth, even if we don't like to hear that truth. Eventually, we may begin to appreciate you after that. That is why I always remain in the social media, check all criticism. In some places, I will see somebody saying that don't open sheet, and I will manage that. I can arrest him, I can put him behind, but I will just laugh and move ahead. Because I caused it, I called for it, because I demanded leadership. And when people give you mandate, they are free to say whatever they want to say. The only sin I may not tolerate is when you are attacking my character, or you are attacking me, or you are making some accusations which are not true. But if you are going to abuse me, abuse me. Even if you want me to come to your house so that you can abuse me, I can come, you abuse me, I go home and sleep. But that will not remove me as a governor. And that will not stop me from doing what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. But I'm begging you, please keep tracking us, keep criticizing us where we went wrong, and tell us where we are right so that we can have more right to do more. I thank you very much for keeping you this late, because those above 60 are really showing, it's really showing on their faces. And I hope that all of us will be back to our homes safely. And we thank you very much. For those who travel far to Katsina, I wish you a safe journey back to your respective destinations. And lastly, we thank Almighty Allah for sparing our life in good health. And see this day that marks 2 years in office at the helm of our affairs of the state. For those who have been supporting us, the State Assembly, the State Executive Council, head of various departments and agencies, permanent secretaries, who have really transformed to reducing some of the processes. And I must say that I appreciate the level of compliance of the permanent secretaries in our policy direction. And that, I believe, is because of the adoption of the merit-based competency test for permanent secretaries. And I have said it many times, all the permanent secretaries should raise their head high. They got this position on merit, not because somebody has lobbied for them. And what I had wanted to achieve, I'm gradually achieving it, because the level of lobby has now reduced to the barest minimum in the state. Nobody lobbies me for anything. For any position that you are deemed to achieve or to reach, you will reach it. You don't need to know me, you don't need to know a commissioner, you don't need to know anybody in this state. And even those children that we took to Egypt and China to study artificial intelligence and MBBS, they are the children of the poor background, those who attended public school. And it was purely merit-based. I did not have a single 1% input on the children that have gone for these studies. And nobody will say he has. And even the model schools that we are about to commission, merit-based admission into those schools, and I will give 70% priority to those in the rural area, because they are the less people that have less opportunity. Recruitment of teachers, 7,326. I did not give a single teacher out of those 7,000. I didn't allow anybody to do, and when we discovered that some people have done that, we cancel it and then redo it again. Members of State Assembly are sitting here. I didn't give one of them one single slot. I told them anybody that came from Savannah is a citizen of Savannah and should be proud is a member of your constituent. So why should you worry that you must bring somebody? The same thing with all employment. Even the health sector, those we employ, we advertise. And people who are competent, in fact, even some appointment in the state government that required my single appointment for me to do it, I decided to advertise in the newspaper so that we can get the best of the best. Why? Because we need to inject confidence into the government. Despite the political challenges, yes, we'll give politics some percentage and also merit some percentage so that we can have the combination of politics and merit in the appointment, and then with that we can be able to have a hybrid governance system in the state. So thank you, good night, and God bless the state and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
May we all rise for the national anthem? May we rise for the national anthem? Thank you.